buckaroos. My name is Festus Q. I've come all the way from Colorado just to talk to you. Now, how many of you know where Colorado is? Very good. How many of you know where Wyoming is? All right, very nice. So now, our ranch is about 40 miles south of the Wyoming border. Now, up there, as you can probably imagine, it being back a ways, our land has got to be about 50,000 acres in order to sustain the amount of horses that we have to have. And if you can imagine living out there, well, we didn't have TV or Xbox 360. No Nintendo, Wii, or any of them shows like iCarly. So you know how we entertained ourselves out there, y'all? Well, we talked to one another, tell stories and do a little poetry and sometimes sing a few songs. It was a warm summer Sunday afternoon, a cowboy party we had to do, something like the movie City Slickers, but with little buckaroos. We rushed lunch, and wow, they even a thought that 3 of my 4 boys weren't dressed as they ought. My youngest, now he's 9, going on 28. He's always got his cowboy gear on and hates to be late. We arrived to a party already progressed, with him back there belly aching about how his brothers were dressed. Now, I told him it's okay and just forgive them all, when I heard him holler, "Dadgummit, boys, you got to dress professional." Well, we worked hard all afternoon, and the boys, they all knew of the forgiveness loudly spoken from the lack of my stew. We worked hard while exchanging "I'm sorries" and "boys, it's okay." We all worked real hard to feed the horses their hay. We got home just in time for dinner. Pork chops, baked beans, and mashed taters. Now, I know it's potatoes, y'all, but you see, in poetry, you have the right to make your words rhyme, and potatoes don't rhyme with dinner. But taters do. And it makes it kind of funny. So we got home just in time for dinner. Pork chops, baked beans, and mashed taters. When my little man filled his plate enough to feed a king, why, my eyes had never seen such a thing. And when he cleaned his plate off and he slid it over, he looked at me and says, "Dad, do you want to know where I put all that?" I said, "Sure, son, tell me right where I sat." Well, he stood up and with a big old smirky stare, lifted up his arm and pointed, "Dad, I put it all right there." Have any of y'all ever heard of the P. Little Thrigs? Well, I'm going to tell you about the P. Little Thrigs, okay? Once upon a time, there were P. Little Thrigs. Well, no, that ain't right. You see, there was more, because there was Palma Mig and Patty Dig, and well, if you add the P. Little Thrigs, then altogether you got 5 little figs. Now, the first Piddlig, he went walking up a dirt road, and he seen him a man widing a raggin'. And he hollers, "Hey, mister, would you sell me that Strodelaw? I want to hild me a bouse. Yeah, I want to build me a hoss house." And so he did. And along came the big wide boof. And he says, "Piddlig, Piddlig, let me in." Piddlig says, "Not by the chair my henny hit in." "Then I'll puff and I'll huff and I'll hoe your blouse down." And he did, and he ate the Piddlig. Now, the second Piddlig, y'all, he went walking up that same dirt road, and he spied him a man widing a raggin', and he hollers out, "Hey, mister." He says, "Hey, mister, will you sell me that strode licks? I want to hild me a bouse. I want to build me a hickstouse." And so he did. And you know what happened? Well, along came the big wide boof. And he says, "Pid-leg, pid-leg, let me in, for I'm a windley froof." Pid-leg says, "Now by the chair my hen in. Then I'll puff and I'll huff and I'll hoe your blouse down." And he did, and he ate the pid-leg. Now, y'all, the third pid-leg was quite a bit smarter than the first two. And he went walking up that same dirt road, and he spied him a man riding a wagon, and he hollers out, "Hey, mister, will you sell me that broad lick? I want to hild me a bouse. I want to build me a hick browse." And so he did. And along came the big wide boof. And he says, "Telegram to Pid-leg, let me in." Pid-leg says, "Now by the chair my hen in. Then I'll puff and I'll huff and I'll hoe your blouse down." Pid-leg says, "Go ahead, give her a try." So the boof reared back with all of his might, and he huffed and he puffed and he puffed and he huffed and he huffed and he puffed and he puffed and he huffed. But he could not hoe that blouse down. So he walks over to the window and he says, "Pid-leg, you are absolutely root, for I cannot hoe your blouse down." But just then he got him an idea that he'd climb up on the roof and chide down the chimney. And as he was climbing up on the roof, Pid-leg run into the kitchen, got him a big old boiling pot of wad hotter, and chid it underneath the chimney. So when the boof come chiding down the chimney, and he landed in that big old boiling pot of wad hotter, he hollered, "Ouch! This is quite painful to a boof's gluteus maximus." Well, just then, the Pid-leg slammed on the lid, went into the kitchen and got him a real narp shife, and come out and saved the Pid-legs, and they dang and sanced and lived everly ever happers. The end. Here we go. Well, old man Johnson had problems of his own. He had a yeller cat, it wouldn't leave him alone. He tried and he tried to give the cat away. He just kept coming back the very next day. Ready now? The cat came back the very next day. Oh, the cat came back. They thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He just wouldn't stay away, away, away. Hey, hey! He gave him to a man going way out west. Told him to take him to the one he loved the best. The train missed the turn and it jumped the rail. No one is alive today to tell that gruesome tale. But the cat came back the very next day. Oh, the cat came back. They thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He just wouldn't stay away, away, away. Hey, hey! He gave him to a man in a hot air balloon. Told him to take him to the man on the moon. The balloon went down about 90 miles away. What happened to that man, I really cannot say. But the cat came back the very next day. Oh, the cat came back. They thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He just wouldn't stay away, away, Oh, wait. Hey, hey! The Cowboys were in the bunkhouse one Sunday afternoon. Some were playing matchstick poker. One had a guitar and was picking a tune. When the conversation went to rodeos and broncs they had known, and how many had made the whistle and how many had gotten thrown. When an old cowboy stood up in the back and tilted back his hat and says, "Why, I remember a horse that was sure enough a bucking machine. He was a big brown and white pinto and they called him Jelly Bean." Well, very few cowboys ever rode him, but they all sure gave it a go. And when they left the chute, they swore they'd straddled a Texas tornado. For Jelly Bean could jump straight up, come down, and spin on a dime. And if you're lucky enough to make the whistle, you scored in the 90s every time. Well, they had to lay old Jelly Bean down a few years ago. But when all the cowboys get together and talk of broncs, he's still the best. And they all paid a moment of silence when they laid old Jelly Bean to rest. For once, there was a mountain lion that was mighty hungry, wanted to have him a steak and hamburger. And he went walking through the woods, y'all, and he came across a bull and he ate the bull. And he ate until he was plumb full. Reared back on his back and growled all afternoon. Roar, 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 he did. Now there was a hunter, you see, who was hungry for some wild game. And he went walking through the woods hoping he might find him something. And off in the distance, he heard that mountain lion growling. And he followed the roar until he found the mountain lion and he ate the mountain lion. Now he cooked him first, okay? So any of y'all worrying about such matters, he cooked him first. But now you know every good story has got to have a moral, right? So the moral of the story is this, y'all. Listen close. If you ever find yourself full of bull, be sure to keep your mouth shut.